Hey, it's Frank Jr., and this is ROCK-Covery.
What is ROCK-Covery? It's whatever you want it to be. It's a powerful message of hope, something for everyone, fascinating stories from fascinating human beings, stories of hope for people who need to hear it. I am totally psyched right now. I have a very special guest, an example in my life of strength. I'm talking about strength of like showing up and handling life the way it should be. We do it clean, and we also enjoy the gifts of doing the right thing has afforded us. Families, friendships, building friendships, helping others. That's the goal, you know. And I want to welcome Les Boogie. I am very, very happy that you're here, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank Jr. You know, wow, well, you said a lot. And the feel is mutual, brother. The feel is mutual, man. We've been riding this journey together for a moment, you know, and it's been a real joyous experience, man. You know, we grow together, man. We cry together. We teach each other. You know, they got a saying, "Am I my brother's keeper?" And the simple answer is, yes, I am. So, you know, with that being said, each one teach one, man. It's all about each one teach one, man. It's all about, look, man, one foot in front of the other. And if I don't know how to put my foot in front of the other, I watch how you do it and I'll follow you or you follow me. That's the way this is done. No man's an island.
It's not like there's like some sort of like documentation that like what we have to do, you know, it's like,
right.
It comes natural in a way where it took so much time to get to where, like for me, I could speak for me. It took so much time for me to get to where I am now, but how did I do that? You know, and it starts from a beginning. With your beginning, what is the deciding factor, right? What was in your mind to make it like, okay, this has got to change. I need to really take a look at something and make it better. But how do I do that? Like, what was your moment?
Well, let me say it this way. As a young teenager growing up in the Bronx, through my entire life, through my entire life, I had a normal childhood. Let me just be clear about that, right? I had aspirations to do a lot of things. I felt that I was headed places. I knew I would be something, and I always wanted to be something worthwhile, someone that people can say, hey, man, this guy is doing his thing. He's living up to his potential. But what happened, to answer your question, is very simple. When I recognized that I was going just too far to the left, when I said to myself, wait a damn minute here, man, enough is enough. I've had enough. Now, I'm not saying it happened in one fell swoop, but what I'm saying, when I said to myself, for real, that I've had enough and it's time to stop. It's time to stop this madness because I'm losing myself. And I knew that I had dreams and aspirations, as I just said. And in order for me to get back on track, I knew I needed to make a drastic change in my life. Because I was never one to use something as a crutch. My mother used to say, yo, listen, don't use things as a crutch. You did it because you wanted to. And I was never one to use something as a crutch. And I always had that strength behind me because I had a strong background of family support and background. I knew that sooner or later, Frank, that this shit was going to be over, right?
Yeah.
But the turning point for me was when I found myself in a situation and I got arrested. And I said, wait a minute, man. And I got arrested at a late age, 29, 30 years old for the first time in my life, right? And I said to myself, wait a minute, man. You know, where's this going? This is nothing like what I had in mind. I thought by 35, I'd have the house, the white picket fence, the dog, the 2 kids, the Mercedes Benz sitting in the driveway. Right? And then I looked and I said, well, where the hell am I going, man? And to be honest with you, it's real simple for me. I got tired of being tired of myself. But the only person that could have did something for me was me. And I decided right then and there that something had to change. When I left that jail, that was it. And I said, that's it for me. I will never, ever return to a situation like this, nor would I put myself in a situation like that, because that's not what I'm about. Now I went through the jail system and I was fine, and I bought myself wherever I went. I was cool. I got through it, and by the grace of God, I got through it. It wasn't about trying to be a tough guy and all that. I just bring myself wherever I go. So I always knew that I was a leader, and people respected me. So I just carried that same way. I just didn't do any foul stuff to anybody to get in any trouble. By God's grace, He blessed me with a hail of security and safety. So you could be the toughest guy in the world and still get jammed up in there. But by God's grace, it was a lesson for me to see what it would be like if I continued on this path. You follow me? Yeah. So I said, look. In order for me to have a decent life, I need to go back to put my boots on and go back to my roots, what I was taught from the beginning. Because I wasn't always on drugs. I was not always using. I wasn't always in the muck and mire. I wasn't always doing that because I knew what it was to play basketball. I was real good. I knew I was a musician. I was I played instruments. I was in talent shows. I was in a singing group. I did a lot of things prior to all of this. Right. So I said to myself, wait a minute, man. I have no excuse. When I looked in the mirror, the excuse was me. And I had to get out of my way. You dig what I'm saying?
I totally dig what you're saying. You've said that on so many occasions.
Yeah.
I've heard that saying, when we get out of our own way.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's part of it. That's like a major part.
Yeah.
For me, like when I started using and, destroying my life, before that, like you said, I always had music, always played guitar. I always had something positive. I came from a positive upbringing. And then what happened? What was the deterring factor for me? And I've talked to you about that on so many different levels. When my dad died, that was pain that I've never felt before in my life. 16, and I come home from school, and
I could imagine. Wow.
And I found him. It wasn't even like your dad's got like a terminal illness. This is like a shock. No one knew he even was sick. He just was in his house, and he died alone.
Wow.
And I came home and found him, and 16 years old. It was like, wow, you find your hero on the basement floor.
Wow.
It was rough, man. Wow. And what was rough about it was there was no support at all from other family members. So I had to deal with that shit all on my own. Wow, and grow up pretty fucking quick,
Yes, indeed. Wow.
And when I dove into the drugs, that pain was gone, and I thought that was the answer.
Right.
And I ran with that, man.
Right.
And
that's how it works.
When I ran with it, I ran into the wall. Eventually you run into the wall. When you run fast enough, there's a wall, you're gonna hit it. When you're on drugs, you probably don't even see it. Boom, you're gonna hit a wall. And then what do? Like you said, you hit a realization. And that defining change changed everything for you. And then what were some of the steps that you took to get you going, and also to maintain of where you are, like where you are today, like to where you got to today?
Well, what, for me, like I always say, I just was determined. I was determined because I say this, when I was in elementary school and they asked everybody, raise your hand and tell us what you'd like to be when you grow up, right? You know that when you're in school, what do you want to be when you grow up? The teacher asked you that. I never said I wanted to be a drug addict. I never said I wanted to be a bum. I never wanted to say I want to be an incarcerated individual. I told I wanted to be a psychiatrist, a lawyer, something like that. I wanted to be a basketball player. I never said anything negative because I didn't know or come from anything negative.
Mm.
So for me, what I did was simply the first thing is I asked the God of my understanding to relieve me from the obsession and compulsion to want to continue. And see, my using was this, man. My using was never to dull any pain. I went to the party on a Friday. Everybody else went home, and my party continued on Monday. I stayed at the party just a little too long. I didn't understand at the time that this was something that could lead you down a bad road. I just thought it was partying. It was like a phase that we went through. Some of us stayed longer than we were supposed to. I never used it like I want to dull some pain. I don't like myself. I was abused. Thank God those things didn't happen to me. When I hear those stories, those are horror stories. I never said, well, I'm using because my girlfriend left me. No, never did that. We used in my neighborhood with the people I was with simply because it was what we were doing at the time. I came up in I'm born in 57. I came up, I was a child in the 60s. I was a young man in the 70s, and I was an adult in the 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we came up, cocaine, champagne, late hours, and ladies was what it was about. It was all supposed to be fun. But then the romance turned into something else. And it just became a real problem. And then how I sustain it, very simply, there's a thing called a desire to stop. My desire became greater than my need to want to use. Because when I found some sanity, when I found an opportunity to take a breather, and I realized, and I weighed the two. When I got some time under my belt, and I weighed the two, and I said, wait, using, not using, not using. And the not using just started to sound so much better and started to feel so much better. And my desire just became stronger and stronger because, like I told you before, I'm going to say this 100 times, I wanted to be something. I want to leave a legacy. I wanted to be the man that I know I could be, and then what other people expected me to be. And God, is the God of my understanding, has given me an opportunity on so many different occasions to understand who I really, really, really am. So now, knowledge of self. I knew who I was before. I got sidetracked. I just needed a push to get, sometimes things happen to you, traumatic, these jarring experiences that sometimes you need to go through in order to get you back on track. Now, does it necessarily mean it puts a person back on track? No, you got to recognize the lesson that's being told to you because we can ignore things. I recognized the lesson that was taught to me. When I went to jail and I came out, I knew that I needed to make a change. That wasn't for me because that's a nowhere dead end. I want to be somebody, and I'm going to keep saying that, man. Yeah. Being a bum is not in my vocabulary. Making excuses.
What you said about not, like wanting to always be someone, right?
Yeah.
And then you have that, you've always had that inner thing of like, yeah, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be somebody, right? And we never, I could totally identify with what you're saying because I always wanted to be a fucking rock star. I always wanted to be
you are that. You are that. You are that. That you are. You made that. You got that.
Stop.
Baby.
Go on.
Go.
But I always wanted to be like whether it is national or not national, whatever. I always want to be in some sort of recognized because I love music, and it's like a part of who I am, right? When I fell into the drugs, and then I got introduced to the program in like '96, and then I bounced in and out, and it's about growing up. For me, it was like I had to grow up, right? And when I got into meeting people like you, like gentlemen like you, like an inspiration, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, but I'm telling you what needs to be said for the people who are listening. When we meet individuals who have similar stories, but different, but you can identify with those feelings of hey man, yeah, that's right. I wanted to be that too. I didn't want to be like that. But how did he, because you had a lot more time when I first came around, and experience. And the only way you can get an understanding of what it is to
Mm.
stay clean and do the right thing and change your life actually is to latch on to the people who doing the right thing. And you led by example, not by saying, "Hey Frank, this is how you do it." You just did it, and I did the work to watch and learn,
Right.
and then adapt to my life. And
Right.
I think that is such a powerful thing. That, like you said, we have lessons to learn, and can not pay attention to them, or we can, and you can
Right.
adapt that with everything in your whole entire life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. See, one of the things, Frank, is this, when someone says to me, and it's so funny. I remember being early in recovery, and I saw people that were more experienced people in recovery. And I used to look at them and I used to say, I never looked at them like what they had was unattainable. I never looked at it like that. I always look at things like, and I still to this day, it's true to this day, I look at anything that someone achieves, I can do too. Anything you have, if I want it, I just need to do what you did to get it. So when I saw people that were relatively happy, looked like they were doing what they were supposed to be doing. I mean, you never really know, but I mean, I've been around the block a few times. I can kind of tell what I feel is real and what's not. But I never put anyone on a pedestal. I never say, well, you know what, he's all of that, and I want to be that. No, I want to be me.
Mm.
I want to be me. But how did you learn how to be you? And I watched how the person learned how to be them, and I learned how to be me. I got me back. So when someone tells me, hey man, I watched you and it helped me, right? This is why, one of the other reasons you asked me, why do I stay? I stay simply because I am my brother's keeper, and I'm dead serious about that shit. I am my brother's keeper. How can I help someone if I'm not living by example? I want to be a help. My job and my mission in life is service, always has been. I'm not a super selfish dude, but I move quietly. I move by a powerful example. And that's how I respect powerful examples. I don't respect a lot of running off at the mouth shit.
Yeah.
If you can't back it up, I'm not with that.
Right.
So if someone says, hey man, I watched you and it helped me, man, and it made me want to do the same thing. I'm grateful for that, because that means out of all the people, if just one person told me that, that means that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And that makes me want to do it even more, because you'd be surprised, yourself, me, and all the fellas, how many people are actually watching you. They might never say nothing to you, but they are watching everything you do.
Yep.
Some people are watching because they think is it real? And then when they see that it's real, they gravitate. They don't have to speak. You don't have to be friends in order to get something from somebody. So this whole thing is not just about me. This thing we do is not just about me. It's about my wife. It's about my son, my daughter, my friends, the rest of I don't do this just for me. Yes, internally and physically and mentally and spiritually, it starts with me, but it permeates all the way out to everybody that you touch. I remember, and I'm going to check this out, man. I remember coming up, when I was using, I was never invited to a wedding of one of my friends because I just wasn't in that space. Now that I have gotten myself together, I'm not only invited, I'm in people's weddings. And that's big.
That's big.
Big, man. For someone to say, hey, man, I want you to be a part of my wedding, one of the most special days supposed to be in someone's life, I want you to be a part of that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that shows something, man. That shows something, man. And with you too. One of the things that has always been a super plus for you is that you have taken fatherhood by the balls, no matter what you had to fight through, and you got your son and you made sure that little Frankie is with you. See, that's what you're supposed to be doing. That's what you're supposed to be. Yes, you got a life, and that's all good. But that young man needed you because the God of your understanding knew where the mother was coming from, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you stepped up and you showed others how to step up. Now, I might be in the process longer. I might be older than you, but that still showed me something. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is how this whole thing works, man. That's why it's such it's a beautiful universe, man. It's of galactic proportions, my man. It's just ridiculous.
That's what Father Wise and I say all the time.
Yeah.
Global implications.
That's right.
But what for people who don't know, because this is a brand new series, what Les was talking about was I have full custody of my son Frankie, but he's now 16. Right. Since I've had to fight the court system and everything, and it started when he was 4. He just turned 4, I've, with getting clean and changing my lifestyle and stepping up, and I did it because I'm thinking, and I always stem back to my pops because I know that's what he would have done,
Right.
And that's the example that I had growing up. You show up, you work hard, you take pride in what you do. You get someone pregnant, well, take care of the shit. Do what you got to do.
That's right.
And showing up has taught me, like, being a dad is like, wow, it's like that's rock star shit. That to me is like, it's ups and downs. There's this tug and pull, but the gifts are to know that your son or your daughter, hey dad, I like this, right, or I like that. Now he plays guitar, wow, and he plays better than me, I think,
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh man, dude, he's fetching for my job with the band. Hey, how you feeling, Dad? You look a little tired. I'll go to the studio tonight. It's a gift, and I couldn't have done that if I was still using.
Absolutely not.
You feel me? Like I could not have done any of that. I couldn't have shown up in court and been investigated by CPS for 10 years, investigators and everything, because my son's mother was involved, still active, and they saw tattoos, band, typical, right, and it's really, the system, and this is another topic we'll talk on today, the system of the father getting full custody when this was a no-brainer. It should have been right there and then, yours, done. Right. It took almost 10 years, man. Right. I had temporary custody, but to get the final order, and then when the day I got that order, the judge said, in sigh of relief, and the whole courtroom was crying. They were so happy that happened. It was like a beautiful moment, It was, I was like, wow, this is finally over, but it's just beginning, because there's so much more I got to do, so much work to be done.
Yeah.
And you're a father of you're a father, and you, through the power of, like you said, just showing up and just doing it, and you never know who's watching. I was watching, and I was like, oh shit, what would Let's do? What would Father Wise do? Those are my boys. Those are they're fathers, and they're doing it. How could I apply some of the strength that they are doing in their world? How could I apply that to my life?
Right.
And I don't necessarily want to be anybody. Today I'm digging who I am, right? Cool. And it took a while to get there. For me, it took a while to get there.
All right.
But having people it's like the people who've guided you in your journey, you could talk about guys that you've met when you first came along. It's like, wow, all right, cool. You can do it. Fuck it. I can do it. Like you get that strength, right. And you show up and whoever watches, like you mentioned something about, someone saying, hey man, it really helped me. And that is a humbling experience when someone says that to you.
Yeah.
I get emails sometimes out of nowhere. I'll be on tour in Ohio, and I got a text message from someone that, like, dude, I remember when we met, now I have a year and a half clean, and I'm closing on a house. I'm like,
it is not. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's something I don't take lightly. I take it like, wow, all right, there's more work to be done.
Right.
You know?
It never stops. But you know what? You know what? I'm not surprised by any of that because when I came through, when I surrendered, let me just say that when I surrendered and I got serious about this, there were things that were told to me would happen if I did what I was supposed to do. And they were absolutely correct. They were absolutely correct. I got a raise immediately. Immediately, I got a raise. Everything just got raised to the next level, right?
Mm.
So when I hear that, and I'm funny about this, when I hear that someone closed on a house and someone got a job and someone got back with their girl, they got married, they had a child, let me explain the way I see it. It's great and it's beautiful, right? It's great and it's beautiful. But to be honest with you, these are the things that we should be doing anyway. It's unfortunate that the use of drugs, mind altering substances, has taken those opportunities away from a lot of people, and some of them will never get it back. And it's a miracle that those who have been down that road are now doing something different and have that same opportunity. Because I believe that everyone should have an opportunity. New day, new opportunity. Every day is a new day. There's a new opportunity. And if you take the bull by the horns, stop making excuses about, this, that, and the third. And I know people have been damaged because I'm not judging damaged people because I don't know what that is. But I can imagine, but it still doesn't change anything. The only thing that changes is the person we bring in. And that's got to be us. That's got to be us. If you want something better, it's like this, man. It's very simple. You put something in something, you get something out of it. It's that simple. And that's the promise. That's the gift of life, period.
Mm.
Period. You got to still live life on life's terms. Life says these things are going to happen, and that's for sure. Ups and downs, whether you're using or you're not. When you're not using, you're better equipped to deal with them.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly. Because if there's no opportunity for me, like what I see is like there's no opportunity if you're clouding your mind with drugs and alcohol. There's you're limiting your potential as a human being. Like you're limiting your options. We don't have to be uh up top here in the world. If we're here and this is our level and this is where we're at, we'll make it the best. And how do you do that? If you cloud your judgment with alcohol and drugs, and it's becoming, it takes away the beauty of growth, of spiritual growth, and also of inner growth. Like I never thought I'd be 47 years old. I'm not lying. I never thought I'd make it at 47. I thought the way I was going, I'm like, oh yeah, party until it goes till 21 and I'm good. Here I am. I'm 47 years old. Amen. And next month is 15 years consecutively clean.
There you go.
And I never thought, but then I think to myself, well, why not? Why shouldn't I have thought that?
Why not you?
Why limit myself?
Exactly.
Why jackpot myself by saying that instead of saying, yeah, that I this is the way it should be. It should always be that way. Like you said, don't give myself the excuses, because once I start hearing my own voice, the nonsense, it's more convincing to me.
Yeah.
And then I believe it. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I am a piece of shit because this is what it's telling me, and I'll just be a piece of shit. Fuck that,
No.
And to listen to the inner spirit that I've learned in recovery and also in music too.
Right. And then the thing is, I think what happens with a lot of people, and this is a general statement, this is not a meeting, so I can speak to who I want to speak. The using part, man, is for me. Let me just say, for me, it was just an experience. It was an experience, and I believe that at this point in time, I'm someone in recovery. I'm no longer using, right? And of course, people say, well, you're going to always be this and always be that. And I'm just going to go a little bit on the program. It says we do recover. We do recover. Now, that means very simply that there was something going on that we have recovered from, and we're in the process of recovering from. You understand what I'm saying?
Of course.
And there's also part of our literature that says that we once were addicts. That we once were addicts. I don't like to use the term addict like, I'm a recovering addict. I'm, once an addict, always an addict. I like to say that I'm recovering. And I like to be in the mindset of once recovering, always recovering. As long as I do what I need to do on a daily reprieve, I'm not going to have a problem. Because just like I used to be a ex-ball player. I had a ex-girlfriend. That's my ex-job. And I'm an ex-addict. I'm no longer using, man. Only way I become an addict again if I pick it up. If I pick up. So, people sometimes don't understand the terminology or the way I explain that, but that's the way I feel about it. That's my personal feelings. Because the God of my understanding made it possible for me and a whole lot of other people to be here. Even when we thought we was a piece of shit, when we thought that you wasn't gonna get to a certain age, when you thought that you'll never achieve anything. See, there was something greater than you that was at work here, man. And this is why we sit here today, because as much as we tried to jackpot ourselves and it's many opportunities that were blown and as many situations that could have been detrimental, right? Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. Even when you thought, right? Even when you thought that you wasn't going to be, you said 21, you're 47. You had no idea, but there was something working greater than you. And this is, and you know what? I get crazy with it, man. But that's the part that you want to know why I keep coming? Because the greatness of what I just said, the unknown, the security, the power, the grace of my higher power. I don't know where I'm going, but I do know I'm going. And I do know that it's all for the good, because everything that has happened, no matter, even when I was doing wrong, he was doing good. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
When I was jackpotting myself, he held me up and made sure I didn't get too hurt. He spanked me on the ass and set me on my way and said, "Did you learn anything?" And even when I went back and did the same shit over again, he spanked me again and let me on my way until I felt, yo, damn, this shit is starting to hurt. My ass is hurting from these spankings I'm getting. You see what I'm saying? I got to learn something from this bullshit right here, right?
Right.
And that's the power that keeps me here. That's how I sustain it. And I also sustain it because one major thing, I love me. I love me today.
Self-love, man, it's huge. It's huge.
I love me, man. And you love you. Love you. You cannot, we got this thing, we'll love you until you learn to love yourself. Now that's a real thing, because a lot of people come in there, they don't really have love for themselves, man.
Yeah.
They really don't. But when you start to love yourself, when you look in the mirror and say, wow, not that I'm a handsome dude and all that, but you just say, hey, man, I'm satisfied with my progress. I'm looking at myself and I'm proud of the person I'm becoming.
Right.
And when you know in your heart, that things are right and you're doing everything for the right reason and it feels right without being applauded for what you're doing, nobody has to see it but you. And it feels right, man. So
that's the gift, because it's like, what are you doing when no one's looking? And then when you just do the right thing and you and like you said, you don't look for the applause, you just do it because it's the right thing, and you just do it because that's the way it should be,
Exactly.
I always found that when I did the wrong thing, even if no one saw, and if I did the wrong thing, I saw.
Right.
And that damaged my inner spirit even more, and today I like to fuel it. I like to fuel that spirit, whether it be through, helping others, making someone laugh, giving someone like inspiration of a hug, or, some sort of like, whatever, encouragement, act of kindness.
Right.
That to me is like what I'm chasing these days, at work, I'm in charge of, I work for DSS, man. I'm in charge of 3 floors of, you know, people who need technology. That's what I do during the day. So it's like they need things done. They need answers. And I'm the only tech in that building, senior administrator, who's okay. I got to provide solutions, but with kindness, you know, because we're all human beings too. You know what I'm saying? So what I've learned in recovery, the beauty of recovery is when you change the person who you come in with, when you open those doors, the idea is to change, change everything a day at a time. But when you change that person, you know, we really have to then take some self-look. Once the drugs are gone, why did I do those drugs? You know, it's me. It begins and ends with me. And now it's I get fueled on doing the right thing, and I like it. You know, I think that's a better look.
Yeah.
From for anyone. You know, and the way to do it is start where you stand. You like the person who's listening now is like, shit, it sounds like a lot. Yeah, it is a lot. Stop and just start where you stand. And if you just take the first step in anything, and that's the beginning.
Right.
You know.
True indeed. True indeed. Yeah,
let me ask you a question off topic. So we both are musician connoisseurs of the music world.
Right. Absolutely.
Have a very successful entertainment company, Fresh Entertainment.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Self-built by your own two hands and the family members, and you're getting people involved who are, part of your inner circle, and then branching out. How does that feel like today? As like, having the music that because we both love music. So, and we've talked about that, how does it feel for you to like, yeah, this is like something that I built, and like seeing the appreciation of others when you do events and you do shows and you promote and successful evenings and everyone's happy. How does that feel? Like, what's that all about, man? In your end?
You know what? The music, the whole entertainment business period, is based on one main reason for me, is to see the smile on that person's face when they come to our event, and you look around and you look at the crowd and you see them having a good time, man. That's why we do this, man.
Yeah.
That's why you play your guitar. You do it for the love. You love it yourself. But when someone else knows that you love it, they start to get into it with you, and they start to enjoy it. And when you see the smile on these people's faces, man, I can go home broke. And any promoter that's worth any type of salt will tell you, you don't always make money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
You know what I mean?
That's my living room is right here.
Right. But at the end of the day, you come back again and do it all over again because of the love and what you do. Here again, I told you I'm in the service business, right? Mm-hmm. Service doesn't mean I'm setting chairs up and making coffee all the time. It means service, period. I'm in the human service business, man. That could mean a whole myriad of things. And entertainment is a human service, man. When you are up there with your band and you guys are going nuts on the stage and the people are loving it, you are doing a human service. When I give an event and people show up and I hire entertainers or I'm showing movies or we're doing brunch or whatever we're doing, that's service. And what's better? And check this out. What have we lost through the pandemic? We lost the music. That's why people are going crazy.
Yeah.
That's why people are going crazy right now. There's no shows. There's nothing,
There's nothing, man. And when it opens up, it's like, it's going to be so different,
It's going, yeah. And people it's like they had that old saying, music soothes the savage beast. And that's real talk, man. Because that'll calm everybody down. If we were able to play our music and see each other, we all be different. We'd all be different. And, we'd have got through this a little differently. So to answer the question, yes, to see the smiles on the faces, man. And plus,
it's epic, isn't it? It's epic.
It's a beautiful thing. Even though I'm behind the scenes, I enjoy. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of you guys that are out there in the front. I'm also a businessman that's behind the scenes, and I get a charge out of it all.
Right.
When my place is packed, I'm saying, wow, we packed it.
Yeah, it's the probably like, oh my God, we're sold out.
Right. There's so many times to say, look, we have no more tickets, we have no more chairs, we have no more seats for you. I'm sorry.
Right.
Should have got your tickets earlier.
Yeah.
You know. So it's a passion. It's something I've done all my life. My older brother is a musician, a session musician. He's played on a lot of records from back in the 70s and 80s, Luther Vandross, Smokey Robinson, the Bee Gees, all kind of people he played with. So he introduced us to my younger brother and I, to the music world. From a young, he made his first album. He made his first album when he was 16. You know what I'm saying? So this has always been. My father was a trumpet player. So this has always been in our family.
Right.
Always. So here again, I had another reason to stop doing what I was doing because of the love. And you said it best. You couldn't raise your son. You couldn't do any of these things that you're doing now if you was using. You couldn't show up to court. You couldn't do anything.
Nah, you can't. Once you throw that in the mix, it's a hard.
It's a wrap.
Sell to anyone, you know.
And if you show up, you're gonna embarrass yourself. You're gonna look stupid anyway.
Yeah.
You're high. You're looking like a jerk.
I remember sitting in the courtroom and looking over in the waiting area, you know, and listen, I've seen some shit, man, and I'm sitting there being so grateful and being like, wow, that could have been me, you know. I could have continued on and that would have been me, or I would have been dead, you know. I mean, there's that option that people forget, you know, that death should be the instant factor when you put, you know, you pick up that first one, you know. I'm scared. Like, I don't want to die, you know, like I'm kind of jonesing on the fact that, yeah, we have a pandemic going on and there's a lot of craziness going on, but I like to adapt and move. You know, I like to bob and weave. I like to not say, oh, I'm just going to bitch and complain. I want to figure out, all right, I'm an entertainer. I'm a musician. I am not, you know, I am not perfect, but I do have like an inner passion for creating, you know, playing shows, like you said, like when we have shows, that was my outlet, man. You know, that was my thing. Every weekend we were playing. We'd do mini tours. We would do out-of-state shows. And now it's, you know, it's nothing. So I spent this whole time with COVID and everything like that, figuring out like, what am I going to do? You know, so we wrote songs together. Still, we're releasing material, and it's going well. And we got some really good stuff in the works for the future. But like, what am I doing for me, music wise? You know, and that's where like I'm making videos, and I'm kind of like putting things out like guitar wise, and like instructional videos, and also fun stuff. You know, and it helps me be creative. And like all of this that I'm doing here, like buying the $300 microphone and the cameras and the lights and making my living room look like Madison Square Garden.
Right.
You know, the green room. It's fun for me, man. And if I was doing drugs, bro, none of this would happen. I wouldn't be coming up with like, how could I help someone or not help someone? How could I just put a message out into the world of positivity and hope if I'm not doing it right? You know, it would be a disservice for anybody. You know, to our thing, to anyone's thing.
Right.
So I love the fact that you and I share music together, and you've been at my shows, and I'm so glad you've been to the good shows because it was some pretty shitty. But like the one that you showed up on, like you and Father Wise and all these guys, I'm like, yeah, my crew's here. Sweet, let's rock.
No, y'all doing your thing, man. And I know it's a grind, but
it is a grind.
You've been doing it for a while, man, and don't stop. I know you're not. Don't stop. You guys are gonna eventually break through the way you want to. Or like you said, you know, like I tell my son is a singer. And I said, look, man, you know, everybody can't be a superstar, you know, and I'm not to say that he won't be or anyone, you know, that's not my call. But if you can play music and enjoy what you're doing and do it professionally and do it right, then that's all that really matters. You're doing the best. You're doing it to the best of your ability. Matter of fact, do it better than the best of your ability. Do it the best you ever can do it. Make people really stand up and say, hey, this guy is good. No matter whether it's 3 people or it's 10,000 people saying you're good, you did your thing, your craft, you know your craft, and you approach it like a professional.
Exactly.
That's what's important. You know, you can be in a band and make $500 a week, or a super group and make 100,000 a week. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you do the shit professionally, with integrity, and you do the music justice. You do the music don't shortcut nothing. Don't
Yeah,
bullshit nobody. Do the shit. Do the craft the way it's supposed to be done. That's what.
exactly. If you take it like in this business, if you take shortcuts, I mean, it definitely shows in your work. You know, like I've seen guys, you know, I just want to be a rock star. Well, what is your definition of what rock star means? You know, like when
Mm,
someone says to me, "Oh, dude, you're a rock star," it's like, all right, I'm a musician. You know, I kid around with the term rock star. It's like it's the thing to say.
mm,
You know, it's like it's
mm.
funny. You know, it's like cool. All right, yeah. I mean, and technically, when I'm in my bedroom, I'm like, dude, I'm a rock star. You know, but like when I'm outside in the world, I don't want to ever come across as like, you know, like I'm this who I'm not. What I am is a musician who likes to create. I like to make music that's quality. You know, I don't like to put my name on something. And I've been through this since I'm 4. You know, it's not like I just picked the guitar up like a month ago.
Right,
Um,
right,
I take pride, and I take pride in work. I take pride in my music and my recovery. Putting it all together is the what makes me me. And same thing with you. It's like you put your craft, and you put your heart into your craft with music. You put your heart and your craft into recovery and your family, and that's what ties, I think, you and I together tight. And what's the definition of a superhero? You know, not a guy with a cape, someone
right.
who you look up to in a respect way of like, yeah, like that's a good look. You know, I
Right.
like that. You know,
Exactly. Exactly, man.
and I think that anyone who's listening, if you understand the concept of what we're talking about, it's all about one. It's a human connection thing, man. You know, and it doesn't have to be vocal. It doesn't have to be um,
Exactly.
anything shown or proven. Um, just doing the right thing happens. And I tell my son that all the time. You do good, good things happen.
Exactly. Proof
You know,
is in the pudding.
it's
The
always
proof
in
is
the
in the
pudding.
pudding. That's right.
Always in the pudding. And
That's right.
let me ask you a question off topic.
Yeah.
What do you got going on now? What's coming up in the fresh entertainment world? What are some of the things that you're constructing for your future uh events, or you know, whatever it is, like what's going on? Tell some people like how we could get fresh entertainment in our living rooms too.
Well, to be very honest with you, since we've had this break in action, I'm gonna call it, I've been doing a lot of studying the virtual concert world.
Mm.
And I'm talking about, I remember, I'm gonna give you a quick story. 12 years ago, 13, maybe about 14 years ago, I was approached by this guy and he wanted to do pay-per-view concerts online. Now, think about it. And you're an IT guy. So think about 14, 15 years ago. It was much different what's going on the internet
Way
than
much
what
different.
than what's happening now. You had to buy
Yeah.
bandwidth, everything you had to buy, you had to, do
You
all
get
it,
the phone connection. Someone
all
picks up
that
the phone,
stuff.
there goes your
Yeah,
connection. Yeah, sure.
yeah, So this cat had an idea that he wanted to do these concerts, and he came to me with it, and that's how I was like, wow, that's great, because you get your boxing matches pay-per-view, so flip it and do some concerts the same way.
Absolutely.
HBO used to do it, and you pay your little $49.99, you have it in your living room. So we were thinking about that then. Now let's fast forward to today. Here we are, 2020, 21. You can just go live on Facebook or Twitter or Twitch or Instagram. They made it so simple. Back then you had to buy your way in, and you needed a lot of money, and you need all the different components added to one thing to make that one camera work for that one show. Now they make it very simple for you. So the point to your question, I'm gonna answer your question, is very simple. I've been studying the virtual world, and over the course of this pandemic, I've I went live and I've allowed independent artists to come on Fresh Entertainment's page on Facebook and perform.
Nice.
I must have did about 10 of these things so far, right? So we've
Yeah.
been doing that. Now we're going into the pay-per-view part of that. Then also what I've been doing is we've been preparing ourselves in the studio for new record releases in 2021. We got three artists that have ready to come out.
Nice.
They've been recording. They're coming out. My son is one of them. The other thing I've been doing, I've been using my voice. I've been doing voiceovers.
And may I say, you do have the voice for voiceover.
I did a Gatorade commercial, man.
No way.
Yeah.
Are you gonna get like free Gatorade because it's on drink?
I'll let you know. And so that's coming out. That's coming out pretty soon. And I just got offered. It's funny because I have an agent. His name is Professor. He's actually a professor.
Professor. Oh my God.
Yeah,
the best name.
He goes a Professor. He's a professor at LIU.
Okay.
And he knew me. He was a fan of mine from when I used to be in this group called the Young Soul Debonaires back in the day. We met again through a mutual friend, through one of my best friends that live in California. They were talked about me, got me on the phone. He's still here in New York. My man is out in Cali. We hooked up and we've been rolling ever since. So there's a few things. You ask what I'm doing, I'm going to tell you.
I knew we were going to have like to allocate another hour for that because I knew like LJ don't sit around. You know what I'm saying? There's no like, well, it's a pandemic. I'll put the TV on.
Right.
No, not in your world, man.
That's right. So check it out. So now we have this thing called the 5 Fingers. The 5 Fingers briefly is this. It's about 5 criminal organizations that were protected by the mayor of this little town, who is 80 years old. He's my godfather. He's dying of COVID-19. But before he passed, he asked me to get the 5 organizations, the 5 families, the 5 enterprises, criminal, and try to stop them from doing what they're doing and bring everybody together and pool our resources and money into the community, because he's no longer protecting us. He was protecting us, telling us the cops come, the raids and all this other kind of stuff. So he passed. So my job now is to go to these 4 others and convince them, right? Yeah. Convince them that we need to turn legit. So we're doing episode 1. That's coming up next week. I just got the script as I was looking for your email. The script just came in. Nice. So I'm doing that. And then I'm working with a young man named AP Ricard. This guy wrote 8 different movies and he's got 4 different television scripts. So there's a thing called Family Loyalty, and we're working on that now. We're getting ready to do the trailer for the movie. We're going to do that in Atlanta in about, I think, next month or the beginning of March. So that's getting ready to jump off. Yeah,
that's cool. So you're constantly in, you're not letting anything happen. And again, that's like, for me, it's like cool because now I got to get up my freaking game. The band is releasing a new single. We released a single last month called Rise, and it was written right before the pandemic hit. But it was written in a way where the lyrics were going one way, and then when the pandemic hit and then we all were facing everything and we're home, it's like we rewrote. Organically, we rewrote it where it was, it's this call to arms punk rock, but it's like something for everyone,
I like to hear it, man.
And then we recorded 2 other tunes. So our goal is 1 song every 3 months, release it digitally instead of an album because no one's really buying albums these days, Right. And the next release is called Ashes that comes out. I think it's one of our best songs we've ever written.
Really?
It's like a journey. It's like an epic. Guns N' Roses wrote a song called November Rain, and that became their Elton John, like that theme. There's like violins in this song, there's like rock, but then there's also slow beauty. It's a total journey. And there's a kick-ass guitar solo, I'm just saying. So we're excited about that. I'm excited about this whole podcast series that we're putting together. And
nice, man.
The hope here is just to each one teach one and help someone.
That's right. That's right.
Keep this thing of ours moving. I am like so happy and so happy that you came on today, man.
Look, man, this is a pleasure. I'm used to being on Zoom, and that's another thing. Real quick, I was able to take my Zoom expertise, and I did a funeral the other day.
Yeah.
I did a funeral the other day for Ralik's brother, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, yeah, you know, it was bittersweet, but it was here again service for the people that the elders that couldn't make it because of COVID. His family members that were down south, people that couldn't make it. I was able to bring it to him, man, and I was grateful to be able to help another brother, one of our brothers,
Raleigh.
Get through what he needed to get through, man. So, you know, it's all good, man. So
that's what's happening with a friend of mine at work. He just lost his mother last night. He's from India. You know, and so he's asked me some stuff about how to stream this on the internet.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of coordinating that with him to help him out too.
Good,
so
good. It's a good thing.
It's always good seeing you, and it's always good talking to you. And I am so forever grateful for just the fact that our worlds are together. You know,
absolutely.
And I know you called me out of my shit many times. You know, I love the first memory I have of you when I first shared at a meeting at Raw. When it came to open sharing. And you got there and you're like, yo, Frank Jr. You know, it was cool. Like, I like when I hear that, I get like old Jones down. I'm like, yeah, Frank Jr., right? And you're like a bright spot up here. You know, you're a bright spot. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. And then Father Wise's like, it's because he's white.
Yeah, that's him.
It's great. Let me tell you something. I love you guys, man.
I love you back, man.
Here, man. Thanks for being a powerful example for not just myself, but for everyone who's come in contact with you. Give my best to your family.
You too, man.
I wish you all the best of luck as always.
Absolutely, man. You keep doing what you're doing, man. And I'm proud of you, brother. And keep striving, man. But remember, you are a powerful example. Someone is watching.
Yeah. You never know who's watching. That's the key for today, man.